I am no longer an editor. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Nara, a full-time business management student and now officially, publicly, a full-time marketing coordinator. You've heard that right, folks. I am no longer an assistant editor of social media and marketing. I am now officially a marketing coordinator. I have been promoted. I still work for the same company. I'm still at Mythical. Do not fret. You will still see me there. But yeah, I have officially been promoted. I am moving up the corporate ladder and I am just so utterly excited and infinitely proud of myself, and I've been holding on to this secret for so long, but it's officially official. I've been doing the work for a while now, and oh my god, it's just like, oh, it's everything I've wanted. Okay, so if you followed the channel or know me or have just like followed me for a while, you'll know that I have had a very tumultuous relationship with my career. Between being unemployed for about 10 months prior to getting this job at Mythical to everything that led up and what happened during the unemployment, I struggled a lot with my love of creating. You know, in high school, I was video club president, and then in college, I was part of the Film Guild team leadership, and I was always known as like that weird girl with the camera that was like always filming and taking pictures, and becoming an editor was sort of just a natural progression of circumstances. I never really sought it out as a career, but I was good at it compared to my peers in high school and in college. I was often sort of shoehorned into opportunities that I was extremely grateful for and very eager and willing to give a crack at because, you know, when you're starting out, you just want to do anything and everything, which I think is the right way to approach things. But the longer I spent really honing in on my editing skills, which was really great and has made making YouTube videos a whole lot easier for myself. But the more I leaned into that specific field and career, you know, between my work at Beast and all the freelancing and then the very short 3-month job I had prior to my unemployment, and then, you know, being an assistant editor at Mythical now, I sort of realized that though I still love editing and I love making videos, I want to reserve that for myself. I love making YouTube videos. I love making videos in general. Ever since I knew like what iMovie was and I knew how to use it, I was making music videos of like found footage of me and all my friends. In high school, I learned how to use Adobe Premiere for the first time and slowly but surely learned how to use most of the Creative Suite. And at first it was really rough. I definitely was a novice, but because I spent so much time trying to teach myself and learn from the few people around me that could assist me in that learning process, it was a natural progression of events. When I went off to college, I very quickly became part of the leadership of the Film Guild in my university, and everyone saw the heavy editing background that I had just by being the video club president at my high school and being one of the very few people that liked to edit, that was decent at it, that had some sort of understanding of like beats and storytelling. I was asked to be a lead editor on a short film that we got nominated for in Best Editing at an award ceremony. And from there, it just kept snowballing where I went to apply for jobs and I was looking at my resume and I was like, well, most of my experience is in editing. I have some on-set work. I had done camera like maybe once or twice, but I already knew that camera work was not really something I clinged onto very much. And so when I was applying to jobs, I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for editing jobs because that's what I know, that's what I'm good at, that's what I've just been doing this whole time. And then I got my editing job at Mr. Beast as an assistant editor. I did that for about 10-ish months, and you know, it was a great learning experience, but coming out of it, I realized that something about doing something that had been pretty much exclusively a hobby up until that point as a full-time paid job burnt me out so hard. The more I started to freelance and look for other editing opportunities, I started to notice a pattern that it was like anytime my job was to create in that way, I would just like get so depressed. I would be so drained. I would find a lot less joy in my day-to-day life. And I had to learn the hard way that some hobbies are meant to stay hobbies. Regardless of how good you are at them, sometimes you don't need that to be your full-time job, the thing that you sustain solely off of, you know, your ability to purchase things, eat, having a roof over your head. And it was a very hard process. And as much as I hated being unemployed a year ago now, but when I was going through my long-term unemployment, I was still looking for editing jobs because, again, that's what I was good at. That's what I knew. I was an editor. That's like all my career had been. It was just like the more I kept looking, one, it's hard to find work in editing. Let's get that straight. A very tough field to break into and super competitive, especially amongst women, I think. It's a hard field. But on top of that, it was just like, I would find myself doing these freelance gigs or, you know, these contract whatevers, and I would make stuff for other people, and then I would log off for the day, and I would so desperately want to make something for myself, but I was so sick to my stomach at the thought of like being on Premiere for another like 5 hours when I'd already been on Premiere for the last 8. And that just took all the joy out of it from me. You know, there are plenty of people, I'm friends with a lot of women who they do enjoy doing this full time. It's still something that they like, but for me, I just had to accept that like editing, content creation is a hobby that I love and that I need to reserve for myself and my ability to rest and have active creativity that isn't just like me scrolling on my phone or, you know, doing something mindlessly. Like it's just like painting, or it's just like people that do pottery for fun. It's the same thing, and I have to sort of respect that, and I have to respect myself and allow myself to just keep that for myself. So that's kind of how I got to this point of like, okay, I knew I wanted to make a switch in my career. I just didn't know how. And so when I got this job at Mythical a year or so ago now, I took the job knowing it was an assistant editor role, but also understanding that it was in social media and marketing, whereas all of my prior work had mostly just been long form content or strictly editing for, you know, a freelance contractor job where they just needed me to like make 30 TikTok clips or something. And from my loose social media experience there, I also have a degree in digital media, an associate's degree. And so I took all of these little puzzle pieces and my deep, extensive experience as being an assistant editor for the last like couple of years. I threw my hat into the ring for this Mythical job. I got the job, and I was pretty upfront from the jump that I knew I was coming in to do assistant editor work. I knew that I was good at it, but it's not what I wanted for myself long term, and that's why I was really excited that the role was in the social department, because I felt like that gave me a better launching pad into something different from what I had been doing. Not to mention, as we're all aware, I am also a full-time business management student, and that was not by mistake. I chose business management because it is a very flexible degree. It can go into many different directions, and when I chose that degree, I wasn't entirely sure what direction I was wanting to go into. I knew I didn't want to be an editor anymore. That's like really all I knew. I knew I needed to get away from editing so that I could have more balance in my life. And I was, you know, thinking about the things that I was interested in and the things that I was good at. But I also, from experience, knew that just because I was good at something and just because I was interested in something doesn't mean it was a sustainable career for me and like my mental health. That's why I chose business management, because it's sort of a catch-all degree. You know, you can go into HR, you could lean into accounting, you could lean into marketing. There were options, and that felt safe and comforting for me. So that's why I even chose that degree to begin with. That's why I'm still doing it now, because as I've worked at Mythical and as I've done all this assistant editor work and I've gotten to see more behind the social curtain, I've gotten to see more behind this marketing curtain, I realize that, yeah, marketing is definitely something that I think checks all the boxes of, I know that like the more I do it, the more I'll get better at it. It's something that I enjoy doing, but it's also something that feels divorced from me as a person, like who I identify as like a creative and me, like Nara Nadia Herrera. I need that divorce in my life. Like I need job and I need hobby, and I need them to be completely separate. You know, I don't live to work, I work to live. And that is a mindset that I had to learn the hard way and that I strive to keep in mind every day of my life. And I am extremely lucky that I was able to get this job in the first place, like before the marketing coordinator promotion, like even just like the assistant editor of social media job was a blessing, because I absolutely love where I work. I have felt so supported in my growth, like as a person, as a creative, as someone who was trying to make an attempt at a career switch. That has just been like so amazing, and I am so excited to see where this role takes me. I, up until this point, have mostly just done assistant editor work full-time. I've had like a couple of full-time like editor jobs, but again, like doing them, I realized like this is not what I want to do with my life, and that's okay. And I think that's even why like I chose the college I chose, because if I've learned anything over these last like 3 to 4 years since I've graduated community college, is that it's okay to change your mind. I mean, even like when I dropped out of university, I remember what a failure I felt like, you know, being one of, if not the only Latin kid in my high school, going to an all-girls like college prep school for high school, being the daughter of immigrants. I truly believed in my soul that like dropping out of college meant I was a failure. And that was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life, was admit that I was failing and I needed to let myself fail. And that's okay. I'm not a failure because of it. If anything, I took care of myself when I needed to be taken care of. And that's amazing. And you know, that was really hard for me, but then I went to community college. I got my associate's degree in media, and like there was like marketing and social classes in there. And I learned all about radio. Like I learned things through my community college degree that I would have not learned if I had just stayed in film school at university. And, you know, like living through COVID, like while trying to navigate all of this, and like living through like a personal health issue, and just like the wonkiness that has been the job market as a Gen Z, all of this has just taught me that it's okay to change your mind. I remember when I was going through my health issue. For those of you who don't know, I had my gallbladder removed like almost 3 years ago now, which I do want to talk about one day. It's just something that I need to emotionally process before I can put it out into the world and talk about how much of a traumatic experience that actually was, and kind of still is for me. One day, but not today. But I will say that when I was dealing with all of my gallbladder issues, / like trying to figure out like what was going on, I spent a lot of time in hospitals and doctors' offices. I had a lot of tests done, a lot of scans, and I remember so many times I would meet nurses, and they, you know, it's always like when you meet someone for the first time, it's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, do you like doing that? Blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, these nurses, to try to make me more comfortable whenever I was doing these various tests, you know, they'd be asking me questions like, what do you do for work? Blah, 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 blah. I was a very emotionally vulnerable. I mean, I feel like I'm very much like I wear my heart on my sleeve type person. I always tell people that when you meet me in person, I'm quite reserved, but the second you're able to like connect with me in any way, I open up like a book. It takes a second, but once you get me talking, I don't stop. And so this would happen so many times where I would meet nurses, and, you know, they would ask me like what I did for a living. I would tell them, oh, you know, I'm an editor, I work for content creators, blah, blah, blah. And we would get talking, and then I would sort of like admit to them, I didn't know if it was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Like I just started, but I was already feeling like maybe it wasn't for me. But then I felt like weird about that, because it's like, well, you know, I don't have a bachelor's, I gotta like go get one of those. And at the time it felt like I was so behind, because all of my friends were like just graduating with their bachelor's degrees and I didn't have one. And so I felt so behind the curve. I felt like a failure. And when I tell you guys, like I met so many incredible women that were like, oh, like like they'd be like, I'm 50. And I'd be like, oh, girl, you look great. And they'd be like, well, thank you. But, I just started becoming a nurse like 2-3 years ago. They would tell me stories about how like they went to school for something entirely different, or maybe they didn't even go to college like when they were supposed to. And now they're like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're fully fledged, like brand new nurses. They're doing ultrasounds and they're running CT scans. And I would see like these incredible people. To me, as someone who's like sick and frail, like they're supporting me so much. And then to hear that like they went through the same things I did and they were like older than I was as I'm like currently going through it, it just gave me so much strength and so much hope. I really learned that everyone is on their own timeline. And if you're like 35 and you're watching this and you're thinking about like going back to school to switch careers or to just like get better pay or learn new skills for the sake of learning them, go do it. Do not hesitate. Obviously, like think about your finances, approach it in a financially healthy way. But I think when it comes to learning and it comes to just trying to be better for ourselves, the answer is always yes. No matter how long it took you to make that decision or how long it takes you to complete the thing that you're setting out to do, I think living and being human is about constantly being curious and wanting to learn and wanting to be better for no one else but ourselves. That can be in the smallest and biggest ways, whether that is like going to get a new degree or you just want to like learn how to knit and you go to like a community knitting club, or you start one yourself, or you just like watch YouTube videos by yourself at home knitting and your cat's on your lap. All of these are so valid. I think it's so easy for us to isolate ourselves and to sort of like put ourselves down, like we are our worst enemies. And so any chance that I get to learn something new, no matter how big or small, no matter how much of a commitment it is, I always lean to saying yes, because I truly believe that like community and constantly teaching yourself things is what's going to keep us happy and healthy. And assuming that we all get to live decently length or long lives, I don't want to wake up when I'm 60 and like hate myself or like regret anything I didn't do. Like I'd rather regret doing something than not doing something. Does that make sense? When I lived in Greenville, one of my next door neighbors, her name's Pam. It's actually her birthday soon, so I gotta text her, but she's like this 70-something-year-old woman. I remember talking to her about all this stuff and about, I wanted to try to switch jobs, but I didn't know how, and I didn't have a degree, and I didn't even know where to start looking at schools. And I remember she would like look at me and she would like tell me stories about how she made career switches, or how she moved from like a different country to like live in the US and like pursue this career, and like everything that led her to living in this like small, bitty tiny town. And she would look at me and she would be like, Nadia, get out of here. Go to LA, go to New York, go literally anywhere. You are so young and you're so full of potential. Live your life and love life. And I think about this all the time. I know it's really hard when you're burnt out and you're dealing with like really heavy emotions, depression, anxiety. I get it. I have been there many times. But at the end of the day, you kind of just have to pick yourself up. And it's hard. It is so hard. But I look at a year ago. I mean, I was literally rewatching my video about being unemployed for 10 months. And it was sort of like my announcement video of me getting this job at Mythical. And there was a line in it where I said that you're going to look back at yourself in a year from now and you're going to be in complete and utter awe of like how far you've grown and like the person you've become. And now I'm standing here, or sitting here, talking to you guys a year later from when I got this job, and I got a promotion. I'm doing something that like I couldn't even begin to imagine like how I would get into marketing like a year ago. And now I'm doing the thing and I really like it. It just goes to show that if you just allow yourself the space to grow, oh honey, you can grow even further than you thought you could. I did not think in a year, like literally a year later, almost exactly to the day, I have the promotion. I'm like almost 70% done with my degree. All the things that I've been yearning and talking about and like actively striving for are happening, and they're here now, and they're happened. If all keeps going on track, like I'm gonna be done with school by this time next year. Like I will be graduated from university, and that's amazing. And I am so fucking proud of myself. And I literally like don't have the words. It's like, yeah, I did that. I did that. A year ago, I was so depressed. I was like working a minimum wage job in Culver City, and I like didn't have any inkling of what the future was gonna be. If I still had a career, if I could make a career. And I have, and I did, and I am, and that's fucking cool. I'm fucking cool. I heard this line recently. I think it's from that show Off Campus on Amazon Prime. I just finished it. There's like this scene where these two friends are talking about something pretty heavy, and one of the friends like looks at the other girl and she just kind of tells her like, you are everything. And I've been thinking about that line since I finished the show, and I love that. I am everything. You are everything. You are so full of love, of life, of growth, of whimsy, friendship. Like, you're someone's best friend. You're someone's ride or die. Girl, just like get up and do the thing. Just do the thing. It's not easy. It fucking sucks. It sometimes fucking rules. And other days, you just don't want to do it. And that's okay. Lord knows that as of recording, I have been procrastinating this paper I was supposed to finish like 2 weeks ago. And that's okay. Because the important thing is that at the end of the day, like, I show up for myself. When those deadlines hit, I submit and I pass. Even when I fall down and like say I don't pass something, like that's okay, because like I can just try again. You can always try again. And I know I sound so preachy right now, and I don't always love sounding that way, but I just like, I don't know, I've just been reflecting so much, and it's like I have done so much. And like when I talk to my friends about this, like they'll always be like, Nadia, like you are so fucking cool. Like you don't understand how cool you are. The fact that like you got this job, you got this promotion, you've done everything you've done, and on top of that you're still in school and you've stuck with it and you're still on track. It's a bit of a tight turnaround, but like I'm still on track to graduating to the goal that I initially set when I first started. That's fucking cool, guys. Anyways, if you take anything away from this video, I want it to be that you can do this. Like, girl, you got this. You are cool. You are so smart, so talented. You are everything. And I want you to be everything that you want to be. But other than the promotion, absolutely nothing else is different about me. Nothing at all. Okay, yeah, I got a haircut, obviously. The haircut's pretty new. You can tell I'm like playing with it a bunch. I feel like I could be like Sex and the City, like Carrie Bradshaw, like, ooh, my hair. It looks so good. I'm like absolutely obsessed with her. One of my friends / coworkers has really great hair, and I was complimenting her on it, and she was like, oh, if you want, I can give you like the number to my hairstylist. So I met up with this hairstylist, and she gave me this beautiful haircut that I'm like so obsessed with. I also like had a blowout, so that's why it looks as good as it does still, because I haven't washed it yet. So it's like, it's still like all like flouncy and bouncy, and you just like want to shake it around and play with it. Like I'm so like, I keep doing this because I'm like, who is she? Vogue model? Like, it looks so good. I'm obsessed. I think she said it's like a butterfly cut, for those of you who are curious. I'm a big Sabrina Carpenter fan, and I love a little curtain bang. I love a little like flounce in the hair. It's just like, it's such a good shape. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with her. And I'm looking at the monitor because I'm just like, I look so good. Can you tell? I'm just like really happy. I'm just like, the world is my oyster. I've got a new haircut. I just love life. I love living. It's so wonderful. I feel like, what's that meme of that girl listening to music and she's like, that's me right now. I know there's probably gonna be people watching this being like, you're so cringe. And it's like, good. Be cringe. Like, be happy. Like, just love your life and love yourself. Don't let other people hate on you. Screw that. Anyways, my camera's gonna die. So that's all. Lots of exciting things. There's a couple other things that I look forward to sharing with you guys that I can't yet, but that's like the big one that I've been holding on to for a very long time. So thank you so much for being part of my journey and being here. I hope everyone has a lovely, lovely week. What's something you're proud of? I want to hear about it in the comments. Tell me something you're working on that you're just like so insanely proud of. Whether you're done with it or not, I don't care. Let me know. But anyways, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you in the next one. Love you the most. Bye.